Building your own large language model isn't one giant training run. It's 3 distinct stages, each with its own data, its own objective, and often its own team. Stage 1 turns raw text into a model that understands language. Stage 2 turns that model into a helpful assistant. Stage 3 shrinks it down so it runs fast and cheap. Let's walk the whole pipeline. It all begins with a river of text scraped from the internet. Books, code, articles, conversations, poured in as a long stream of tokens. A token is just a chunk of text, and every token is mapped to a vector, a list of numbers the model can do math on. This is the embedding. The training game is beautifully simple. Cover up the next token and ask the model to guess it. The model reads everything before the blank and emits a probability distribution over every possible next token. This bar chart is the model's belief about what comes next. Then we reveal the true token. If the model placed low probability on the right answer, that's an error, and the error flows backward as a gradient. Every weight in the network gets nudged slightly in the direction that would have made the true token more likely. This is gradient descent, rolling downhill on the error surface. Notice something remarkable. Nobody labeled this data. The answer was simply the next word already sitting in the text. This is self-supervision, and it's why we can train on trillions of tokens. Repeat this guess peak correct loop trillions of times, and the network stops memorizing and starts building patterns. Grammar, facts, reasoning, style, all baked into billions of continuous weights. The result is the base model. Think of it as a rough diamond. It has absorbed the world's text, but it isn't polished yet. Here's the catch. The base model only knows how to continue text. Ask it a question, and it might reply with more questions because that's what it saw on the internet. It isn't yet helpful. So we begin stage 2, fine-tuning. First, supervised fine-tuning, or SFT. Human experts write thousands of ideal prompt and response pairs, demonstrations of exactly how a good assistant should reply. We train on these the same way as before, next token prediction, but now only on the response. The same downhill optimization, just pointed at a new target. Imitate the expert. This chisels the rough diamond into shape. The model now follows instructions instead of just rambling, but imitation only takes us so far. For the final polish, we use reinforcement learning from human feedback, RLHF. And here the idea gets clever. Instead of writing perfect answers, humans just compare. The model produces 2 responses, and a person points to the one they prefer. These comparisons train a second small network called the reward model. Its only job is to look at an answer and output a score, a needle that predicts how much a human would like it. Now we let the language model generate freely and push its weights toward answers the reward model scores highly. It learns the judge's taste without ever being handed the exact recipe. But there's a danger. Chasing the reward too hard, the model could drift into strange gibberish that games the score. So we add a leash. This term measures how far the new model strays from the original and gently pulls it back. Maximize reward, but don't wander too far from what you already knew. The rough diamond is now a polished gem, an aligned assistant that's helpful, honest, and safe. Crucially, RLHF didn't teach new facts. It shaped behavior and style toward what people prefer. But this gem is enormous. Tens or hundreds of billions of weights. Running it for millions of users would be slow and staggeringly expensive. So stage 3 is deployment, making it small and fast. The first trick is pruning. In a trained network, many weights are nearly zero, contributing almost nothing. We snip those faint connections away, like trimming a bonsai. The network gets sparser, but the essential shape remains, and it still lights up almost as brightly. The second trick is distillation. We take the giant polished model as a teacher and train a much smaller student to copy its outputs. The student watches the teacher's full probability distribution, not just the final answer, and reshapes its own predictions to match. It can't hold as much, but it captures most of the skill in a fraction of the size. The third trick is quantization. Every weight is stored as a high-precision number, but we rarely need all that precision. We snap the continuous weight values onto a coarse grid, using far fewer bits each. Like compressing a photo, the memory footprint shrinks dramatically while the output barely flickers. It's important to see what quantization does not do. It doesn't change what the model knows, it just rounds the numbers, lowering precision, not erasing patterns. The final trick is graph compilation. A forward pass is a tangled flowchart of tiny math operations. A compiler fuses these into fewer, larger blocks, tuned for the exact chip they'll run on. Same computation, far fewer trips to memory, and the latency timer drops sharply. Put these four together and a frontier quality model fits inside a real latency and hardware budget. The goal was never simply bigger, it was the best answer you can deliver within the constraints that matter.